You're finally awake.
Welcome to Skyrim, everybody. I haven't played this game in ages, but we're gonna play a Khajiit, and it's gonna be Crack Kitty today.
You with one of the trade caravans, Khajiit? Your kind always seems to find trouble.
Casual racism against my character aside, I have spent a lot of time playing this game in the past, just not recently. I played mainly when it came out, so my most recent experience with this game is probably from 10 years ago, give or take. Other than that, I haven't replayed this game in a while, so a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be doing here is just going to be from memory, and obviously following the quest marker, because that's pretty handy. Now, to the crux of what's going on. I'm going to be playing through Skyrim, and every time I level up, I'm going to increase my character's speed. Initially, I was going to try to increase the speed value by 10% every time I leveled up, but I realized later on that's not exactly how speed multiplier works in Skyrim. The console key to increase your speed is a speed multiplier, and by multiplying my speed by 10, what I was actually doing is setting it to 10%. And that wasn't exactly what I was trying to do. I thought the whole value was 1, and I was increasing it by 10% every time I leveled up, but that was not what I was doing. So anyway, I'll realize that much later on in the video. But first things first, I need to go find Riverwood, then I need to go find Bleak Falls Burrow, and then I need to head over to Dawnstar in order to start making a little bit of money and getting some of my early levels.
Climb and back and we'll be off. Get up there.
There's a classic exploit that you can do in Dawnstar. You can do it in a lot of other places as well, but it's easiest to do in Dawnstar in my opinion. All vendors need to have their items in a chest, and the traveling Khajiit merchants are no exceptions. One of the chests for the traveling Khajiit merchants just happens to be sort of glitched into the ground over by one of the mines in Dawnstar. So you just run over, loot the chest, take everything, obviously, because, you know, what else are you going to do with it? And then you can use all this stuff any way you want. There's a lot of the time treasure maps in there. You can go follow them and find treasures. I never did, but you can. There's a lot of enchanted items in there, so you can disenchant the items and get your enchanting level up. I want to do a lot of smithing, so I'll take whatever raw materials I get and turn them into daggers, while checking the blacksmith's stock every now and again. I can also use a lot of the ingredients I'm getting here to make potions. Alchemy isn't really a skill I'm going to be focusing on in this run. However, it may be useful just in order to get some extra levels. So anytime I get a level up, I plan on just using it immediately. And here I am getting my orcish armor on. I had made steel plate, but then I decided to go a little bit longer with the exploit loop, and I wound up being able to wear orcish armor at the end. And now we're level 14. Now, you might notice that my character isn't moving that much faster than normal. In fact, my character is moving the exact same speed you normally would. There are a couple reasons this is going on, and I'll get to them later when it actually comes up. So right now I'm just going to head over to Riften, because there is a certain enemy that I need to defeat in the Ratway. There's a couple enemies before that, and they might pose a bit of a problem, so we'll go ahead and look at that fight first. Upon entering the Ratway, there are two vagabonds that assault you. One of them has your classic sword and board. Well, I think it's technically a mace that he's using. It doesn't matter because Skyrim doesn't differentiate between any one-handed weapons. So it could be an axe, a mace, or a sword, and it doesn't matter. They're all basically the same thing. But he's got a friend behind him with a bow. And I figure, okay, well, I can just sit here and let them wail on me a little bit to get my heavy armor up, because I do need a perk out of the heavy armor tree in order to increase my damage. By the way, I'm not using weapons, I'm just using my bare hands. That's one of the reasons I chose Khajiit in the beginning anyway, because they get a bonus to unarmed damage that will stack with the enchantments that I'm about to make, as well as the perk in the heavy armor tree that adds your gloves armor rating to damage. I do think that if there's ever a chance for me to just sit around and get hit in order to level up my heavy armor, I should take it. Largely, it was a little bit too much damage coming from 2 enemies at the same time, so I did give up and actually fight. This is the enemy that I'm looking for behind this door. He has a pair of gloves that have a unique enchantment. Unfortunately, he pummels the crap out of me more than once because the gloves he has improve his unarmed damage, which is entirely the reason I want them. I do level up in the middle of fighting him, and that helps me tank a few more of his hits because he does kind of hit hard. I can disenchant the gloves and put it on multiple items, gloves and a ring. I do say that these are Mark 1 with the intention of making Mark 2s and Mark 3s as I leveled up, but that never happened. They are Mark 1, and that was the only mark that I made. The next step is to head over to Bleak Falls Barrow and get the Dragon Stone for the main quest. You can do this with or without Farengar giving you the quest to do it. And once again, I figure I can just sit around here. There's 2 bandits shooting at me with bows. They have a horrible case of Stormtrooper aim, so I definitely figure it'll be safe to just sit there and tank some hits to try to get my heavy armor up a little bit. I managed to get my heavy armor up, I think it was 4 or 5 levels, just kind of standing here and healing. Healing with restoration also gives me restoration experience, leveling up restoration and giving me more ways to get more levels to get more faster. So in that case, I feel like it's a win-win-win scenario for me. But I eventually get bored of just sitting around and I make my way through Bleak Falls Burrow. The most interesting thing here was the fight against the Draugr White at the very end. I also happened to find Meridia's beacon in the chest. I can't believe it was in the first boss chest that I looted, so I have to listen to Meridia here.
A new hand touches the beacon.
But you guys don't. Anyway, as I was saying, the fight with the Draugr White, I go ahead and get a couple free hits on him as he's rising out of his coffin. The main problem I have with this fight is he has more range than I do. He swings his sword and he can hit me a lot further away than I can hit him. The gameplay becomes, oh, I need to run in, punch, and then just leave and heal if I get hit. And luckily he sort of bugs out and doesn't chase me. He just gets stuck on the stairway there. So I count that as a win. And it is not long before my foe is pummeled into submission. And I can take what I need. That being the Dragon Stone. I go ahead and take care of all the main quests, blah blah blah, off screen. Head over to the Western Watchtower, since that's where your first fight with a dragon is. And I noticed there was a giant camp close by, so silly me, I thought maybe I can enlist the help of these friendly giants to help fight the dragon. After defeating the dragon, I'm told to go to High Hrothgar over by Ivarstead and on my way over to Iverstead, that's when I realized that I wasn't moving any faster than a normal player. So we're a quarter way through the video, and I'm just now realizing that my scale is wrong. 100% movement multiplier is the base number for movement. If I do less, I run in place like that. That's where I realize I need to just change it to be a number that is higher than 100. So I decide, okay, well, I haven't been going fast yet. How about I increase my speed multiplier by 15 every time? So I go ahead and type in the thing, set AV attribute, which attribute is speed mult, and then I just add 15 every single time I level up. A much more desired outcome. I am now going fast. Here's my fight with the Frost Troll. On the way up, I equip a shield because I was gifted a shield from the Jarl of Whiterun that gave me frost resistance. Doesn't really help me the first fight, or the other couple that I cut, but this one, you know, I'm getting better. I started equipping the shield. I didn't actually start with the shield. I'm learning things. I did bump the difficulty up to Expert from Adept. So that's one of the reasons the troll is kicking my butt so hard. But the level ups in the middle of combat really, really help. So having something equipped like a shield to help increase my levels is, well, very helpful. Fight is pretty nasty. I wind up having to retreat a few times just to heal. And I really just kind of have to get lucky that the troll just sort of whiffs a few attacks. I'm not actually sure if the troll does frost damage, so I'm not actually sure if the 30% frost resistance on my shield is actually doing anything or not, but it being a shield is more than enough of what it does. While I was fighting the troll, I also noticed that it resets my speed stat, even though I increase it every time I load. So that was good to learn. I wind up dropping a save while I'm fighting this troll just to have a good place to go back to in case it didn't work out, which it didn't work out. So I'm glad I saved it. But I am eventually able to take down this troll and continue up the mountain until I get to High Hrothgar. And I have absolutely no problems passing the Greybeard's tests. I don't even have to use the Whirlwind Sprint Shout in order to make it to the door in time because I am fast. But with the Greybeards sufficiently impressed, they send me to retrieve the Horn of Jorgen Windcaller. Upon reaching the location where the Horn of Jorgen Windcaller should have been, there was instead just a note telling me to meet somebody in Riverwood. I took this as an opportunity to return the Golden Claw to the trader there, and on my way out I am ambushed by cultists, which is a little bit rude of them. I'm able to take down the cultist that likes to summon a Flame Atronach first, which helps a lot because then there's only one thing shooting fire at me instead of 3 things shooting fire at me. And it has to split the DPS because eventually some of the villagers start to attack it. But we get a cool takedown. It's always fun to get those. Apparently it was Delphine that wanted to see me. She's a member of the Blades and whatever. Blades kind of died after they screwed up really hard in Oblivion. Well, the events in the game Oblivion, not in Oblivion. You know what I mean. But she wants proof that I am the Dragonborn, so she asks me to go kill a dragon. in Kynesgrove. In order to prepare, I make a couple fire resistance items. I know that boots can have fire resistance because that's the item that I tore apart in order to get fire resistance in my list of enchantments. And I also noticed I could get it in an amulet. So I have 2 items that give me fire resistance, 27%. That is 50 for fire resistance. You know, half fire damage. Seems pretty handy. Here we go. Gonna go kill another dragon. And this time actually kill one instead of having the giants do it for me. On my way to Kynesgrove, I run into 2 cave bears in a row. The first one nearly kills me, but I do pretty well. And then directly across the river from where I fought the first cave bear, there is a dilapidated shack with a second cave bear just chilling. You know, exactly what cave bears do is they just hang out in abandoned and ruined shacks. Ask any bearologist and they'll tell you that this is a fact. At the last second, I contract a disease, which is annoying, but I continue my way towards my quest marker, which takes me straight past Kynesgrove, and I am ready for the fight. I need to take a little nap, actually. Okay, now I'm ready for the fight. The cool thing about these dragons being resurrected, if you catch them in the animation, you can actually punch them through their animation just like they can shoot you with fire. So, you know, that's kind of fair. If they can shoot at you, you should be able to punch at them. I do pretty well. This is actually something that I managed to do on my first try. I burn a little bit, but if I can run out of the range, which is not difficult to do because I am so fast now that I'm getting it correct, I can just run out of range, heal up, and then come back with the fist ready to go. And there's my first actual dragon kill, where I did all the work. And that's the only one. Next up is a party at the Thalmor Embassy. I don't stay here for long. I don't want to do anything special here. I just head straight to Melbourne and grab my stuff. I find out that the Thalmor wizards are very squishy. It usually only takes 1 or 2 punches for them to be in range of a instant kill. On my way out, I run into a frost troll. I realize that I don't have a level up in order to buffer health with, so I just sprint right through the cave. And these people are on their own now. Have fun. In the next quest, I had to find Esbern in his hiding place in the Ratway. I was here earlier. I could have waited until now in order to grab my gloves, but I think they've helped a lot more up to this point than they would have if I had just waited. I think I made the correct decision in getting these first. So once I find him and talk to him, I leave immediately. For some reason, this door gets locked behind you. Whatever. And I make my way out. Except I get back to Delphine and I tell him that he's coming and she yells at me.
You left him on his own? With the Thalmor after him? Go make sure he's safe.
So I reload a save and he has to grab things before he leaves. Go figure. Anyway, this Thalmor wizard is extremely difficult to kill. I don't know why. He's hitting me with lightning spells, and they deal about 2/3 of my health and damage. Not very fun. I just have to hit him about 3 times for every one time he hits me, and he can only hit me one time, otherwise I'm very much screwed. This is one of the only times I've sped up footage after I started increasing my speed, just because it is very repetitive here, what I'm doing. After about 3 minutes of real time, I managed to get into a winnable attempt. And these takedown animations are very cathartic when you're having trouble with the fight, because it's just so satisfying to watch me bash that guy's skull against the ground. Anyway, here we go. I'm on my way to Karspire. There's apparently a Blades Fortress here, and we need to find more information on how to stop Aldu-wiener. I am not having very good luck controlling myself now that my speed is so high. Delphine tells me that maybe the Greybeards know about a shout that can take a dragon down from the sky. I figure, sure, why not? I'll go talk to them. And we're in High Hrothgar, talking to Angir about that shout. He says that he doesn't know anything about it, but we should talk to his master at the top of the mountain, which just so happens to be a dragon.
Greetings, Wunderneek. I am Parthenax.
He tells us we need an Elder Scroll, so we head over to this crazy guy in the middle of nowhere that I remembered where he was, because I think it took me about 4 days to find this man the first time I played this game, and therefore it has been branded into my memory. I think I skipped a couple actual steps in order to find him, but I don't care. I suffered through it the one time, and I am willing to just say that this is something that I'm incapable of forgetting. Septimus sends me over to Ulftund in order to access Blackreach. There are many elevators to Blackreach throughout the map of Skyrim, but one of the easiest ways to get down here in the first place is to go to Ulftund. And this is where I experienced my first crash of the game. Very cool. Anyway, after I reload, I can set my speed back to where it belongs, and I can continue making my way down to the Blackreach entrance. Because my speed is so high, I can take some shortcuts. I can sort of, not really fly, but glide between two elevations that are a little bit similar. And I can also miss my jumps and try again. This jump would normally be kind of hard to make, but I can sort of just run straight at the wall and land on that little doorway without taking very much fall damage. Pretty handy. I don't have to worry about taking the stairs, and I can avoid a lot of the enemies this way. But I do run into a Dwemer Centurion. This is the first Centurion that I've fought. I think it's the only Centurion I fought as well. But for some reason it never attacks back. I don't really understand why it wasn't attacking back. It just kind of stands there and looks at me threateningly, which it does work. It's very scary, because I feel like if it swings that hammer at me, it's going to kill me in one hit, but instead it just looks menacing. But with the last Guardian dispatched, I can make my way down into Blackreach. Now, I remember Blackreach being a really cool area. I remember exploring Blackreach a lot, but I go straight over to where I need to be in order to get the Elder Scroll and get out. I don't need to spend any more time there than just doing that. So once we're back up to the throat of the world, we can read the Elder Scroll. We get a whole lot of plot thrown at us at once. That's not really why I'm here. I just want to fight the big lizard. And I want to yell at him. I think also they said they invented the shout. I think that's kind of synonymous to them inventing a slur to insult the dragons so hard that they come down and fight you. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's pretty bad manners. And now we just have to go back in time in order to watch them shout this dragon slur at Alduin. So yeah, this is actually weaponized language. Very, very bad manners. I always thought this fight was pretty cool, how he summons the meteor storm and they fall on top of your head. And have good fire resistance, so the meteors don't really do all that much damage to me. Aldu-wiener, however, I think he can switch between his frost breath and his fire breath. I don't have very good frost resistance, so he is using the frost breath against me. Maybe I'm just wrong and I should have made a frost resistance amulet and put up my shield, but I didn't have too much trouble. I think this only took me 2 tries. And I'll just let most of this battle play out because it's pretty cool. I am very fast, and it's just... This is also the part of the game where I realized that my speed might not be the best asset that I have. It might actually be a hindrance more often than not, because I will like run up to an enemy, press the attack button, and run away, and by the time my attack actually comes out, the enemy is out of attack range. So that's pretty annoying. It might also just be the lag on the attack, but it's not something that I ever get that used to. So be ready to be frustrated with a lot of missed attacks. Once Aldu-wiener is defeated, he gets real mad and tells us to suck eggs. We can't kill him here. We have to kill him somewhere else. And we realize that he's talking about Sovngarde. So now it's time to start trying to figure out how to get to Sovngarde. Part of the plan to get to Sovngarde is to trap a dragon. And in order to do that, we have to call a ceasefire and listen to a very long and very boring meeting where a bunch of people that I don't care about sit there and argue. I managed to make Ulfric really, really mad at me because I just keep letting the Imperials take more and more territory, and he's all butthurt about it, but also he thinks that Khajiit are dirt, so I think he is dirt. Let's go ahead and drop the trap on this dragon so we can ask where Aldu-wiener went. And like I said, Aldu-wiener went to Sovngarde. There is a portal to Sovngarde that can be opened in the ancient temple of Skuldafn, and we have to get there. Before I head off, I am still trying to get my smithing up to level 80 in order to wear ebony armor, but I don't have enough materials to do that. So I don't get to wear ebony armor. It's orcish armor the entire time, baby. That's fine. So without any other distractions, it's time to end this. I hitch a ride to Skuldafn, and I can make my way to the portal.
Once you've flown the skies of Kaizal, your envy of the Dove will... Amativ, Mubo Kotin Stinselok.
You know I skipped all that running around BS. Here we are, we're in Sovngarde. In order to actually gain entrance into the hall, we have to do some fisticuffs with Tsun. And I was expecting to get my butt kicked here, but I actually did pretty well. His attacks are really slow, and he telegraphs them really, really well. So if you're paying attention, and if you have as high of a speed as I do, when you have 400% speed like this, it's pretty easy to just like back up 10 feet and then wait for him to start running at you, and then you can punch him again and then run away. This really just becomes death by 1,000 cuts for your enemies. But I am able to go into the hall, and I loot all the food there. Every time I do this, I always loot all the food. I let them talk because it takes them forever. And while they're talking, I just take all the food. And now we're actually ready to fight Aldu-wiener. Now we get to actually fight Aldu-wiener with these 3 Nord heroes. Aldu-wiener actually killed at least one of these heroes. This one fight in Skyrim is probably the best part. It's kind of sad because the main quest in Skyrim is actually fine. It's just really, really short in my opinion. I think it's only like 10 quests or something like that. It's crazy short compared to like Oblivion or Morrowind. I haven't actually played Daggerfall, but from what I've heard, nothing in that game is short. But yeah, this fight, you're in the afterlife for the Nords, and you're just beating the tar out of a dragon with a bunch of other Nord heroes. It's perfect. And that will be all for this video. I know the main gimmick didn't really kick in until 20 minutes in, give or take, 15 maybe, but I'm not really familiar with the console commands in this game. I don't play this game as often as I play Morrowind or Oblivion, so I just kind of made a little bit of an oopsie. I would go back and record again, but I just didn't have the time. This was the plan B. I had a different video planned for this week, but I had to resort to this one. I actually recorded this video when I realized, oh no, it's going to take me another 30 hours to edit this footage. What do? I need to put out my video in like 3 days. So we get Skyrim filler episode, and I'm okay with that. I think Skyrim's a really fun game, despite a lot of the complaints I have with it. And there is a lot to do with it. So without further ado, thanks for watching. I appreciate you being here. Subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this. A like on the video also goes a long way. And I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.